Which games are must-bets for Week 9 of the 2024 NFL season? What's going on, football fans, gridiron gamblers, and BLV bettors? It's Mitch here, back with another week of NFL best bets, picking my 5 favorite spreads of Week 9. This week, I couldn't decide on 5, so I'm giving you 6. Gronk, spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe for weekly NFL best bets and picks just like this. And let me know in the comments your favorite pick, your favorite bet of Week 9. Remember, this is in order of preference. 1 through 6. Last week, our top 2 selections, the 49ers and the Buffalo Bills, came through. Let's see if Week 9 can continue. Our first pick of Week number 9 versus the spread is the Los Angeles Rams. We're fading the Seahawks again. Rams minus 1.5 at Seattle. Seattle is not a place to fear anymore. And I love this version of the Rams offense. Stafford, with his weapons, is a different quarterback. I would catapult Stafford into an elite category of quarterback when Nakua and Kupp are on the field. The stats show that that is a real thing, and this Rams offense is top 5. The balance, the running game with Kyren, the play action, Puka being a monster. This offense is going to have its way with Seattle's defense. Just as the Niners, the Giants, and the Bills went to Seattle and beat the Seahawks, I think the Rams will do the same thing. I think they'll run the ball, which Seattle has struggled with. The Bills, the Niners, the Giants all ran the ball. Sean McVay, 10 days to prepare for a divisional opponent, a defense that last season the Rams ripped apart. And I'm not talking about Seattle. I'm talking about Mike Macdonald's scheme. Remember, the best that any offense played arguably all year against Baltimore was the Rams with Nakua, with Stafford, with Kyren. Remember that? Well, this is a much worse version, and Sean McVay is going to have 10 days to prepare. It's a huge game in the division. The winner is going to have huge leverage in a wild card race, in a division crown race. This is a big game, and the Rams are the better team. I think they have better pass protection. Seattle struggles to protect Geno Smith. DK Metcalf may be out while Puka Nakua and Cooper Kupp are back. And I think the Rams pass rush is really underrated. I think they can get to Geno, cause mistakes. I don't love the Seattle run game. I like Kenneth Walker a lot, but their run game is just not it. And Seattle is out of sorts, man. They looked awful against Buffalo. They've been trending downward while the Rams feel like a true dark horse moving forward. So I'm going to build on this momentum. I was really impressed by their performance on Thursday night, and they've had 10 days to rest and prepare and add Puka and add Kupp full time to their game plan. So I'm really liking Sean McVay's team in this spot in Seattle. Give me the better quarterback. Give me the better coach in this spot. Only laying 1.5. I love it a lot. Rams. Our second pick of week number 9. We're going back to the Bills. -6. They're playing at home versus the rival Dolphins. Miami does have Tua back. But remember, the Bills with Tua in week 2. Miami had Tua. They were healthier. They played Buffalo, and they got shellacked. That was in Miami. Tua struggles to beat the Bills. He struggles to beat Josh Allen. Josh Allen is his daddy. Okay, we know this. I think we all know this. And the real thing to me is that Sean McDermott has Mike McDaniel's number. He has Tua's number. He really understands what works in that offense, how to attack that running game that's very horizontal, get upfield, penetrate, how to be able to flood the zones, take away the middle of the field, force Tua to throw the ball down the field, down the sidelines, force Tua with not a lot of arm strength to make those throws. And he's really, really good at taking away the money concepts of this offense. That's why I like them in week 2. That's why I love them here in week 9. And the Bills, I think they're a real deal team this year. Like, they've been really good with Josh Allen and Sean McDermott, but this team feels like they are as good as any team they've ever had from a run games perspective, from a balance perspective, they don't really need Josh Allen to go superhuman every game. He might be the best quarterback in the league. He might be the MVP of the league, but they don't necessarily need that to happen. In this game, they could easily rush for 200 yards and win. They did that in week 2, where James Cook was just going nuclear for 3 touchdowns on Thursday Night Football. I think Davis can run the football. Cook can run the football. You add Amari Cooper. That's another dangerous weapon to this matchup. I love how Keon Coleman's playing. Khalil Shakir is playing. Like Dalton Kincaid. They've got so many ways to slice and dice this defense. And Miami has not been good against the run pretty much all season. They've lost Zach Sealer up front, their best defensive tackle, in my opinion. That's really going to hurt them. I think the Bills barely get stopped in this game. And it really comes down to, will Miami be able to match? And given the history of Tua playing in Buffalo in the cold outdoors, I don't see how that happens. Tua is not good outdoors. He's not good in Buffalo. He's not good if it's just a little cold or a little windy. And Tyreek and Waddle just have not been the same players. I don't really know why. They haven't. And Mike McDaniel, I mean, he's on the hot seat. Like, I think the Bills are rolling. The Bills are just an absolute force on both sides of the ball. Von Miller could be back for this game, I think. So, yeah, I mean, the Dolphins are not as good as people think. I think 6 is honestly too low for the difference between these two teams. I think one team is on the downward trajectory and one team is on a Super Bowl upward trajectory. So that's my second pick of the week. We're going with the Bills 2 weeks in a row. Next up, the Giants. I'm taking a dog here, +4 versus the Commanders. They're at home for this game in New York, New Jersey. And they're getting 4 points against a division rival in which I think they lost 21-18, if I'm not mistaken. They lost by 3 early in the season, so they would have covered. Just saying. That was in Washington. Both teams were fairly healthy. But the Giants in that game could have won. Not only did Malik Neighbors drop a 4th down pass, they also lost their kicker, so they couldn't kick any field goals in that game. And I think this is kind of a combination of a lot of different things for the handicap. First of all, Commanders are coming off a highly emotional victory over the Bears, in which they were at home and they won on a Hail Mary. How often does that actually happen? It's a young team that's probably not used to dealing with that situation. Winning on an all-time high against Caleb Williams, who's the number 1 pick, Jaden Daniels, the number 2 pick. A big deal for that team to be able to get that win over Caleb Williams for Jaden Daniels, right? And Jaden Daniels to be able to do that. Jaden Daniels is also beat up. He's dealing with a rib. He could leave this game at any point. He actually got hit a couple times in that game against Chicago, and he was feeling the pain. You could see it on his face. That's part of it. Secondly, Frankie Louvu beat up. Left tackle Lucas beat up. We'll see their status. The Giants did sack Daniels 5 times in their first meeting. Ojulari is playing phenomenal football for the Giants on the edge opposite Brian Burns. And the Giants still have a very good pass rush. They're capable of creating negative plays. They're capable of getting sacks. They're capable of bringing down Daniels, especially with the athletic guys like Ojulari and Burns on the edges and Okereke in the middle. So I really like the Giants' front 7 and their matchup against the Commanders. They might give up the run. They're not really good against the run. And Terry McLaurin could be a bit of an issue. But the reason I'm backing the Giants is not just because of the pass rush. It's not just because of the spot, but also the offense. Like, I thought the Giants' offense against the Steelers, which is a much better defense than the Commanders, that was on the road on a primetime setting, Monday Night Football, and they moved the ball. Like, they ran the ball better than I've seen any team run the ball on the Steelers this entire season. Tyrone Tracy looked unbelievable. He was rushing for like 7 yards a carry. And if they can do that to the Steelers, I don't see why they can't do that to the Commanders, especially if Frankie Louvu is not going to play or he's limited in some capacity, right? I didn't think Chicago really figured out how to attack the Commanders until the second half because Caleb was awful in the first half. Like, there's no way you could tell me Caleb and Daniel Jones are like not on the same level right now. I know that Caleb is the first overall pick, generational, but in the first half of that game, he was dreadful. He was awful. And the Giants O-line, I thought Daboll did a fantastic job scheming around TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith. You don't really have to do that with the Commanders. They don't have great edge rushers. So while Daboll, I think, will probably likely protect his left tackle significantly in this game, I don't think that's necessarily needed against the Commanders. I also love the matchups on the outside, like Malik Neighbors against Baptiste, and I love how Wandale's playing. Darius Slayton is playing. Like, they've got legit receivers in New York, and the running back's explosive. He can catch the football. They've got Devin Singletary as well. I think Daniel Jones, he's not great, but with these receivers, with this scheme, with the play action, with the run game working the way it is, the way that he performs and plays against the Commanders in general in his career, this is a spot to back him as an underdog. I think they could definitely cover this game. I think they could win this game. This is a divisional game at home against a team that's coming off an emotional win and a team on offense that, yeah, is very good. But I think perhaps, they didn't play that well against Chicago. Chicago does have a great defense, but they've kind of stalled out in the red zone. And if the Commanders do kick field goals again, just as they did in that first game against the Giants, this could easily be a cover for the Giants. So I like the G-Men here. I like the G-Men. I think they might have a chance to win this game. I like how Daboll and this team are performing, and they're playing with heart, and they're playing with passion. So I think that Monday night game, it wasn't a cover, but they did some things in that game that I just didn't expect, and I respect it. So I'm going to go with the G-Men here as an underdog versus the Commanders. The Commanders are due for a loss, aren't they? I mean, come on. Next up, the fourth pick of week 9. It is. Yup, we're doing it again. The Patriots are on the best bets, baby. We're back in the Pats, and it feels like we get these games wrong every single time. I can't win when I pick them. I can't win when I fade them. So do the opposite. To be honest, though, if there was one that I was ever going to win with the Patriots, would it not be this one? Like, come on. They're getting 3.5 points against the Tennessee Titans. Now, a little bit of a caveat. I would not bet this if Jacoby Brissett is the starting quarterback, but I do believe Drake May will be the starting quarterback. Why? He was a limited participant on Wednesday already. So it feels like, and we also heard that May wanted to go back in the game against the Jets. So I think Drake May will actually play on Sunday. And if he does, this is a pretty simple handicap. It's the Titans, my 31st ranked team in football, versus the Patriots, my 30th ranked team in football. The Titans should not be 3.5 point favorites against any team in the NFL. Certainly not a team with a much more talented quarterback if it is Mason Rudolph taking on Drake May. Secondly, you can make an argument that the Titans might have a worse offensive line than the Patriots. Okay? And yeah, the Titans do have the best unit in this game, their defense, but their special teams is the worst unit in the NFL. That could also turn the tide of this game. Nobody really watches the Titans, but they're dreadful. They have horrible coaching, and they're really bad in situational spots. I would also say that the Patriots have been improving, like their run defense subtly improving, their offensive line play subtly improving, the offense just more explosive and more fun with Drake May. And I just don't think the books or the people understand how talented and good he is. I think he would have went on to win that game against the Jets if he didn't get hurt, and he looked really good early in the game. He ran for a touchdown, was running all over the Jets. He had 50 yards in like one drive. So this is simple. I'm just going to take the points, a hook on a field goal. I know it's in Tennessee and not New England, but man, I mean, it's the Titans. They're awful. They don't have D-Hop anymore, so I think Christian Gonzalez will cover Calvin Ridley and take him out of the game. And really, the Patriots just have to focus on slowing down Tony Pollard, and otherwise they should be okay. On the other side of the ball, yeah, the Titans are tough on defense, but I think an area that the Patriots can attack is I think they can attack that middle of the field, that linebacker position, Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper. They've used a lot of tight ends. And I also think Demario Douglas from the slot can be a little sneaky there as well. So give me the points between two bad teams with the better quarterback and the team that's, I think, playing better right now. I mean, they didn't lose the lines 52-14 or whatever it was. So Patriots plus 3.5. Pretty simple here. Drake May plays, bet it. Next up, the Raiders plus 7 at the Bengals. I like the Raiders getting points. Hopefully you can find a 7.5. There's a possibility you could find a 7.5 still, so take that over a 7, obviously. There's more backdoor possibilities with 7.5, but the Raiders have been covering the last 2 weeks against the Chiefs and against the Rams. And part of the reason they're covering is the way Antonio Pierce is coaching. He's very conservative right now, and he's actually kicking field goals in spots where maybe he shouldn't. So that's actually helping bettors out and actually helping them cover bigger spreads. On top of that, this is a fade of the Bengals. I've been a Bengals guy all year, and they've won some bets, but very few. And I've been trying to stay away from them lately on best bets because I just can't get a good handle on this team. They're just not playing up to the level that they should. And I think the biggest reason is they're not a tough team. They're not physical. They're soft. And they can't really stop the run consistently. And they can't run the ball consistently. The Raiders have been stopping the run lately, slowing down the Chiefs, slowing down the Rams fairly effectively in recent meetings. Max Crosby playing still at a high level. Tyree Wilson sneakily playing well. Jack Jones playing well. This defense is very well coordinated by the Raiders. And I think they'll have a handle on the Bengals' simplistic passing offense. What you really have to do if T. Higgins is out, which he probably will be, is just double team Jamar Chase. Take Jamar Chase out of the game. Make Mike Gesicki beat you 5 yards at a time. And I think the Raiders will be well prepared to rush Burrow, especially if Orlando Brown is out. He was actually out of practice on Wednesday. So with Orlando Brown and T. Higgins potentially hindered or also out or injured, that's going to be 2 of the 3 or 4 best players on this Bengals offense potentially not at their best. The Raiders offense actually kind of played well against the Chiefs. They put up 20 points against arguably the best defense in the league. Brock Bowers is playing really well. Jacoby Myers is playing really well. And I think Minshew is feisty enough to make some points as an underdog and to go on some drives and move the ball against a pretty bad defense. The Bengals don't have a great pass rush overall, so I'm not too scared about it. And I feel like Minshew can nickel and dime his way to some points against the Bengals defense. And the Bengals, because of their defense, they just struggle to win by margin. They really, truly do. And they're just not as good as these point spreads indicate. So as much as I want the Bengals to be successful, I just don't feel like they're on that level of what I would have hoped. And so I'm going to start to fade them in this game against the Raiders, a team that's just tough, physical, and they cover spreads. So give me the Raiders plus a touchdown against the Bengals. I think the Bengals win, but probably by like 3 or 4. That's my honest take. Maybe 6. I just don't see them winning by a full touchdown in this game. I think it's like a 24-20 game where the Bengals win. That's my take. And the final pick is the Bucs plus 9 at the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. This will be our bonus bet or our Monday Night Football bonus, so to speak. Typically, I don't give Monday Night Football out, but I'm going to go with the Bucs. It's a big number. They're getting 9 points, and you're getting Baker Mayfield plus 9, and Baker's played like a top 6, 7 quarterback in the NFL this year. So whenever you can get a really solid to good quarterback with 9 points against a team that doesn't have an explosive offense and has to nickel and dime and has to run the ball and has to chew clock to score points, I think you have a good chance of covering, especially considering the Bucs are probably the more explosive offense in this game, and they can come from behind and backdoor cover pretty easily against a Chiefs team that typically does take their foot off the gas. So the Chiefs do have a good defense. Their ability to get pressure on Baker by blitzing and playing man does scare me a little bit. And their offense just being able to kind of throw a bunch of short passes against a bad Bucs defense does give me some pause for concern, but this is 9 points. I mean, you can cover 9 points in so many different ways. That's not even one score, right? So, and the Bucs are not that bad of a team. I actually really like their offensive scheme. I think Liam Cohen has quietly been one of the best like top 3 to 5 offensive coordinators in the league this year. Their O-line is really, really solid. I think they can block the Chiefs pretty effectively. And Baker is sneaky good as an underdog. Like, he's definitely a guy that he knows he's an underdog. He goes out there and he balls out. He makes plays. He makes difficult throws. He's a gunslinger. He'll throw it into a tight window. And I think they've got some sneaky receivers like Cade Otton at tight end, McMillan, the rookie. There's guys that show up. Jarrett, even from last week. I think they're going to be able to move the ball in the second half to be able to make this one pretty tight. First half, the Chiefs might come out and dominate, but I think second half, Bucs are going to make this one pretty competitive. And their running game has been pretty balanced. They've got 3 different running backs. They're good in the screen game. They're good at throwing quick passes. They just know how to play, with maybe limited personnel. We saw it last week against Atlanta. They still had an operating, effective offense. It was a bad defense in the Falcons, but still, I think Baker's playing great, and he's played better than Mahomes this year. So whenever I can get the guy that's playing better at quarterback with 9 points, pretty good idea. On the other side of the ball, the Chiefs like to run the ball a lot right now, and I just think that's probably the area that you would want teams to attack on the Bucs. Like, their run defense isn't as dominant as years past. You can certainly run outside on them, but the Chiefs don't run outside. They run a lot from the gun, and they run straight up the middle, and they try to plow and just bludgeon you. And to me, like, with Kareem Hunt, he's not quick enough or elusive enough to get outside. I think Vita Vea and these guys will be able to stuff that. And the Chiefs are like a 3-yard offense. Like, they just go 3-yard, 3-yard, 3-yard. And that's long drives. That leads you to the red zone. That leads you to stops in the red zone. So if the Bucs can get a couple stops for field goals, this game will remain tight. And I could see the Chiefs, like, they don't really care about winning by a bunch. They're just going to try and win. And that's why I like the Bucs, because Chiefs aren't good at covering these spreads. So give me Tampa +9. Those are my picks, my best bets for week number 9 of the 2024 NFL season. If you enjoyed, Gronk spike the like button, and don't forget to subscribe. It's Mitch.